Gttv News. I am Isatou Colley and thanks for joining us. First, the headlines. President Barrow calls for the transformation of Africa's challenges to opportunities. Newly elected Speaker of the National Youth Parliament urged government not to let the new spirit of youth involvement in governance die. A police officer charged for allegedly raping a 22-year-old girl. In sports, Gambia under-20s kick off their title defense with a convincing 2-0 win over Cape Verde on Tuesday. Now the news in details. Stay tuned. Now, during the Tokyo International Conference on Africa's Development, His Excellency President Adama Barrow calls for the transformation of Africa's challenges to opportunities. More on this report. His Excellency President Adama Barrow went with a high-powered delegation to attend the Tokyo International Conference on Africa's Development. During the summit, His Excellency President Adama Barrow urged member states and partners to work together to transform Africa's challenges into opportunities to drive its development priorities. President Barrow emphasized the urgent need to support Africa's youthful and diverse population to explore green businesses and other development opportunities, adding that Africa is a burgeoning continent, but it must redouble efforts to explore its development objectives. Quoting that Africa's present unique opportunities for close cooperation with the world, but we must build enough capacity to finance that drive Africa's development sustainably. Speaking on the Japanese government support to the continent amidst the ongoing global economic crisis, President Barrow commended the Japanese Prime Minister, His Excellency Fumio Kishida, and the government and the people of Japan for assuming greater prominence in the collective endeavor to build resilient economy, communities, and environmental systems. The Gambian leader further expressed that while the continent needs to manage its biodiversity and ecosystem services effectively, it is equally vital to share best practices with the globe to overcome its development challenges. The Tokyo International Conference on Africa's Development is a process involving not only African countries, but also international organizations, the private sector, and civil society working for Africa's development and promoting high-level political dialogue between African leaders and their partners on issues related to economic growth, trade, investment, sustainable development, human security, and governance. Isatou Colley, reporting for Gambian TV News. The National Youth Parliament Speaker Omar Cham urged government not to let the new spirit of youth involvement in governance die during their first ordinary session. Lamin MC Sefas in this report.
In a colorful ceremony held at the National Assembly, the 9th Parliament were sworn in as members of the National Youth Parliament, marking the 20th anniversary of its existence. As it commenced with the formal swearing-in of the Speaker of the Assembly and his deputy, followed by the swearing-in of various constituency representatives. Speaking at the August gathering, the newly sworn-in Speaker, Honorable Cham, called on the government through the Ministry of Youth and Sport and National Youth Council not to let the new spirit of youth involvement in governance die. The new dawn will give them this opportunity to critically assess the status quo of young people and as well the laws, policies, and initiatives governing young people. Cham added that as they took up the commitment to deliver to the young of the Gambia a new phase of National Youth Parliament in terms of representation, operation, engagement, influence, and impact, she found through what they called the Reformation Agenda, which gave birth to a new constitution and standing orders. Finally, Honorable Cham congratulates the honorable members and thanked the founding fathers, their partners, for witnessing such a symbolic occasion.
Of the National Youth Parliament, for being duly elected and nominated as National Youth Parliamentarians, tasked with the mandate of representing the voice of young people of our lovely country. I pray that Allah the Almighty eases the execution of the task ahead of us and give us the opportunity to give a new face to the strife in the promotion of youth participation in governance and decision-making processes. This new dawn would therefore give us the opportunity to critically assess the status quo of young people and as well the laws, the policies, and the initiatives that govern young people. As such, I am pleased to inform this August Parliament that in this session, we will discuss and debate on key matters confronting the lives and welfares and interests of young people of our dear motherland. It is paramount to note that the journey towards this glorious moment was not an easy one. It was marked with endless sacrifice, dedication, and perseverance as we took up the commitment to deliver to the young people of the Gambia a new phase of the National Youth Parliament, the Gambia, in terms of representation, operation, impact, and influence. Siphoned through what we called the Reformation Agenda, which gave birth to a new constitution and standing orders, management manual, and financial manual. By this, we're able to capture representation of each constituency in our country, maintain a gender balance through the inclusion of nominated women representatives, and most importantly, secure the inclusion and participation of persons with disabilities. We therefore call on the government of the Gambia, through the Ministry of Youth and Sports and the National Youth Council, partners and donor agencies, to not let the new spirit of youth involvement in governance die. We call on these important institutions to nurture, support, and guide the National Youth Parliament of the Gambia to strengthen its capacities and operations in the quest to provide the best of leadership and the administration of the rights of the young people of the Gambia. Whilst we anticipate these sittings, we want to wish you all a happy 20th anniversary of the National Youth Parliament, the Gambia. We wish to thank the founder of this great institution, Honorable Sambujang Conte, who is with us here today, and his co-founders for their wisdom in giving birth to this legendary establishment, and all the leaderships and memberships of the National Youth Parliament before us, for safeguarding the mandate, dignity, and value of the National Youth Parliament of the Gambia. Without doubt, this institution has graduated the best of leaders who are demonstrating their leadership capabilities in high institutions. This includes in the government, in the National Assembly, non-governmental organizations, just to name a few. We want to thank all partners that have supported us since the birth of the NYP to date. In conclusion, please permit me to express my sincerest appreciation to all the youth parliamentarians for your endurance, sacrifice, and cooperation towards bringing this aspiration to a reality. I wish to seize this opportunity to give special thanks to the UNDP the Gambia for supporting this important cause, for uplifting the voice of young people of the Gambia, and for laying a strong foundation in the promotion of good governance and democracy. This occasion would not have existed without your invaluable support. You are indeed the champions of the issues of young people. We want to sincerely thank the National Assembly membership and leadership for providing us all the support, facilities, and guidance needed to reach this great milestone. We are saying a very big thank you to you all. We want to express as well our utmost thanks to the National Youth Council through the leadership of Mr. Alhaji Jaju for giving us the required foundation for the realization of the Reformation Agenda, much especially en route to the validation of our Reformation materials. Obviously, every tree has its roots, and we cannot forge ahead without thanking the Honorable Minister and as well Ministry of Youth and Sports for their continuous guidance and collaboration in our quest to improve the welfare of the youth of the country. We want to believe through partnership with your ministry, we will deliver to the young people their aspirations. We want to thank the drafters of our very fundamental reformation documents, without which we would not have been here today. With all this support received, there is without doubt that we are not alone and we are not lonely in our strive to improve the status quo of the young people of the Gambia. We thank everyone here present for attending this auspicious occasion, and we pray that we have a successful session with the interests of the youth standing in the highest towers, smiling to the world.
Bakar Baji, the Honorable Minister of Youth and Sport, reaffirmed government's commitment through his ministry to engage and further strengthen their collaborative work in areas of concern to the youth constituency that they serve. He reminds the 9th Parliament that despite limited in number, they are representing about 60% of the total population, and while their resolution might not be binding on government and stakeholders, they will go a long way in giving the policymakers ideas about the major concerns of the youth population of the Gambia.
Excellency, the British High Commissioner, His Excellency, the EU Ambassador to the Gambia, Mr. Sambayan Conte, founder of the Youth Parliament, the National Assembly members who are present here today, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to you all. Master of Ceremony, it gives me a great joy to join young people from across the country on this very important session dubbed the 9th Parliament, which marks the first ordinary session of the National Youth Parliament for 2022. The National Youth Parliament, NYP, as known to many, has been one of the oldest existing youth associations that, despite the challenges of running youth-focused organizations in the country, they continue to recruit, nurture talents, and build skills of young people from all social backgrounds and regions of the country. It is for this resilience and continued quest to empower young people to play their role in national development that us, at the Ministry of Youth and Sports, through the National Youth Council, never hesitate to collaborate with them in our common goal of raising awareness about issues confronting young people, build capacities of the young people, empower communities, and advocate for the participation of young people in political and governance processes. Before I continue, Mr. Speaker, I wish to congratulate you as the newly elected Speaker and your deputy, as well as all the other young people who have been elected at the constituency level and have taken an oath to serve their constituencies and serve the young people of the Gambia. It is a daunting task that out of almost 60% of the population, you are the ones that have been elected or nominated to represent all the other young people. But I believe that you have the spirit, you have the talent, and you have the commitment to do your best during your term as members of the Youth Parliament. Let me assure you that as a ministry and government in general, we will continue to engage with you as much as necessary and further strengthen our collaborative work in all areas of concern to our youth constituent that we professionally and voluntarily serve. We will continue to engage and listen to you. This is an undeniable right that you have as youths of this country, and a duty that we as public servants have towards you and the people that you represent. Honorable Speaker and members of the Youth Parliament, as you start your 9th parliamentary sitting, I wish to remind you that despite the limited in numbers, you are representing one of the key, or in fact the most important sector of our society, and that is the youth. And while your resolutions might not be binding on government and stakeholders, they go a long way in giving the policymakers ideas about the major concerns of the youthful population of this country. Beyond the resolutions, the ordinary session is an opportunity that gives young people a platform to voice out their concerns in a free and democratic space. It is therefore important that all of you present here and participating in the ordinary session, take it serious, and of course, be realistic in your submissions and your arguments. The clerk, who is the master of ceremony, I'm of the conviction that the 9th Parliament will create avenues in which its honorable members will have their skills built in different areas and knowledge enhanced in various topical issues, especially those related to social, environmental, and emerging phenomena. I know for a long time, we have done a lot of work in areas of political participation and peaceful coexistence, raise awareness on harmful nature of tobacco, safety in motor and road traffic, among other issues. However, I want to challenge your leadership to, while building on the previous gains, do more work in the area of drug abuse, climate change, and livelihood skills acquisition. From all indications, these 3 issues are among the major challenges confronting our young people today, and thus deserve concerted efforts from government, UN agencies, and youth organizations like the National Youth Parliament. The ministry will take the lead in this and has, among other ongoing ventures, been doing so through the National Youth Service Scheme, which today has more than 300 young people undergoing 2 years livelihood skill development training in different institutions, through the apprenticeship training program and the COP members' regular program. The National Youth Council, as you might have already heard, is always ready and willing to collaborate with the National Youth Parliament and other like organizations in the country. PIA, which is the President International Award, and the National Enterprise Development Initiative, called NEDI, all under the Ministry of Youth and Sports, are all engaged in different youth empowerment and advocacy work. But it is obvious that government institutions alone cannot be able to achieve what we all want to see happen in the young people. It is therefore the responsibility of civil society organizations like yourselves to approach the
Sambujan Conte, the founding father of the National Youth Parliament, gave a brief history of the establishment of the Youth Parliament. The Deputy Speaker, C.D. Eskenjai, addressed the gathering on behalf of the Speaker and assured them of their unwavering commitment and support while taking on daunting task of being Youth Assembly of the Gambia.
The Honorable Minority Leader of the National Assembly and members of the National Assembly here in present, the Deputy Clerk, Admin and Finance and staff of the National Assembly, the United Nations Development Program country representative, our dear sister Isatou, the British High Commissioner to the Gambia, the European Union Ambassador to the Gambia, and other members of the diplomatic communities here in present, founding father of the National Youth Parliament, Alhaji Sambujan Conte, my respect to you, the Speaker and members of the National Youth Parliament, the clerk and support staff of the National Youth Parliament, other agencies that are partners to the National Youth Parliament of the Gambia, and friends of the National Youth Parliament. On behalf of the National Assembly, the Speaker of the National Assembly, the Right Honorable Fabakary Tombong Jatta, both sides of the National Assembly, and Clerk of the National Assembly, I want to welcome the Speaker, Deputy Speaker, and members of the National Youth Parliament, both elected and nominated, and congratulate you for your assumption of office and welcome you to this August Assembly. The National Assembly, on behalf of the Speaker of the National Assembly, we want to assure you of our unwavering and commitment support to the welfare of the National Youth Parliament and youth of this country. While you take this daunting task of being the Youth Assembly of the Gambia, where you discuss pertinent issues to the welfare of young people, of which government through the Ministry of Youth and Sport will take seriously in helping to shape government policies as they relate to youth of this country. It is a common say that the youth are the future leaders. But of course, I am among those who dispute that fact, that youth are leaders of today and tomorrow. It is until we think that way that we will not be able to commit ourselves to the daunting challenges that lay ahead of us. And as a government and as a people, we must be committed to that cause. Because the young people, once you have a highly trained and skillful youthful population, you are assured of a responsible and responsive adulthood who will serve the purpose of humanity. It is against this background that the leadership of the National Assembly over the last 2 decades committed to supporting and helping the National Youth Parliament. There are a lot of collaborations, effort that we did with partners to this August body. Sambujanjan, I remember 2007, 2008, when I was a member of the National Assembly, we had at the time worked tirelessly in ensuring that we allow members of the National Youth Parliament to use the chambers of the National Assembly when we are at the old building there. The Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly has asked me to assure you that the National Assembly will continue to work with you. And as the Deputy Clerk of the National Assembly indicated earlier on, as we speak, we have members from the University of the Gambia who are here training on internship for parliamentary procedures and processes. And as a young parliamentarian, your role is to learn how Parliament make laws and, of course, debate their processes and procedures that will help to mold you and shape you, so that when we become this.
The National Youth Parliament consists of 64 members, of which 30 women representatives, 9 nominated members, and 2 persons of disabilities. Other speakers include the UNDP resident representative, the Deputy Clerk of the National Assembly, and former National Youth Parliament Deputy Speaker. Reporting for Gttv News, I am Lamil MCC.
The Inspector General of Police issued a press release involving one of its personnels in an alleged rape case of a 22-year-old girl. Isatou Colley files in this report.
According to the Inspector General of Police, wishes to inform the general public that one of its personnel, Sergeant Mahmoud 2163 Sajo, was arrested and charged for alleged rape. According to Police Home Magazine, the said police officer on 28th of August 2022 left his guard post and went on a self-assigned duty at the seafront near the Monkey Park, where he had an encounter with a group of young boys and girls on a party. Still group took to their heels, but he got hold and allegedly raped one of them, who is a 22-year-old girl. Sergeant Mahmoud was arrested by the Police Intervention Unit guards at the seafront, who took him to the Senegambia police station, where he was charged and detained. The victim was taken to the hospital and was confirmed rape after a thorough medical investigation, said the medium. The Office of the Inspector General of Police found and condemned the act in totality and wishes to inform the general public that necessary actions will be taken to hold the perpetrator accountable for his gruesome act, and that safety and security of Gambians and residents of the Gambia remain top priority of Gambian police force. For Gttv News, I am Isatou Colley.
From that story by Isatou Colley, we now shift our attention to a press release by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, International Cooperation and Gambians Abroad wishes to inform the general public that it has received information of 34 Gambian nationals who are currently being held at an immigration detention camp in Dubai, United Arab Emirates due to residing in the country without proper documents. The Gambian embassy in Abu Dhabi is collaborating with the Emirati authorities on the matter, and the public is further assured of the Gambia government's resolve to secure the release of its citizens. The release ends. Now to sports. Young Scorpions opened their title defense with a convincing 2-0 win over Cape Verde at the ongoing WAFU Zone A tournament held in Nouakchott. Sheriff Conte tells us more.
It was a dazzling moment under the flooding lights at the Stade Olympique de Nouakchott, where Coach Abdoulaye Bojang's young boys opened their title defense with a 2-1 win over Cape Verde. Banjul FC's Balamin Sow scored the first goal for the Young Scorpions in the 24 minutes of the first half of the game, maintaining the lead from the first half of the game. The Young Scorpions resumed on the second half with a ball in possession. Again, Banjul youngster forward Balamin Sow scored a brace in the 74 minutes of the second half, making it a 2-0 win over their opponent.
Congratulations to our Young Scorpions. Well, wonderful viewers, that's it for today's bulletin. But before we take leave of you, let's recap of the day's main stories. President Adama Barrow calls for transformation of Africa's challenges to opportunities. Newly elected Speaker of the National Youth Parliament urges government not to let the new spirit of youth involvement in governance die. A police officer charged for allegedly raping a 22-year-old girl. To sports, Gambia under-20s kick off their title defense with a convincing 2-0 win over Cape Verde on Tuesdays. That's all we have for you in today's bulletin. Do join us for another bulletin. I am Isatou Colley, and thanks for joining us.
Na forum so ngetelefo mbadingol be yalong kanun telu be yalong signal be yalong aninja wol for yalong ngetele kanu ala yalong ngetele kanu baby ngetele kanu ala yalong ngetele kanu babe gadi yatamiye akuyatamiye ngetele kanu ala yalong ngetele kanu wa hey, this your man himself Lixin Khan, the original frontline army. Right about now you are watching Gambian Talents TV.
nit ku baax dafa yombul boo ko amee danga koy kañ soo ko kañul kan ngay kañ te kañ ngay kañ góor ci juddu la ci deret lay daw te ci jikko lay feeñoo góor ci juddu la man daal de tippoo naa la man Abdou Guité Seck maa ngi seetaan Gambian Talent TV di wax suma soppe yépp nañ koy seetaan bu baax ndaxte yëf yi doy na waar saf na sàpp
ku ne am na lu di daanaan si yow loo xam ne kenn mënut laa ci raw bés ba ko xamee la la lele demal ma xàmme ci loo taxaw am na lu yàgg ne law ci yow yow ba ko xamee kon kenn du la daane affaire de ndaanaan ndaanaan Gam Talent jën njay ndaana Gam Talent TV yen njay ndaana You know the deal. This is your boy, Bai Barhama. I'm watching Gambian Talent TV. Best buneka, you know what I mean? Keep watching. These guys, ñoy ndanan, certified ndanan. That's what it is.